Hey, I'm Olivia,
And hey, I'm Dad.
and you're listening to Soarin' Around WDW. Bonjour, mon ami. Welcome back to this week's episode of Soarin' Around WDW. Today, it is just me on the mic as I am here to discuss our pre-trip plans for France. Everything from how we are getting there, the ins and out of our travel logistics, our City of Paris days, our Disneyland Paris plans, and also touching on our post-parks itinerary. At the time that this episode drops, we will be about halfway through, sadly already done with Disneyland Paris. But I have so much to share about all of our plans, so it's all very exciting. First things first, a little more information on this trip, why we're going, how we decided to go to Disneyland Paris, and who's coming with us. So we are actually going to France for my mom's wedding. And as soon as she told us she was getting married in Europe and then specifically narrowed it down to France, I was like, Maddie, we have to make Disneyland Paris happen. Our trip in its entirety will be 11 nights, 12 total days. The first portion we will be spending in Paris itself, and then the second portion we will be spending in the central southeast section of France for the wedding. We will be spending 2 nights in the city of Paris, and then 2 nights over in Disneyland Paris. As far as who is traveling with us, that would include myself, my husband Maddie, and our 2 girls who will be ages 7 and 3, almost 4, as well as my mom, my cousin, and her 2 girls ages 9 and 7, almost 8. Others will join kind of at different parts of the trip, so I'll talk about them as they enter the chat, so to speak. But how are we getting to France? We will be flying actually Iceland Air from RDU over to Iceland, and we will have a very brief layover, like 55 minutes to be exact, to hop over to our flight from Iceland to Charles de Gaulle. Now, this layover made me so nervous that initially I had totally written off this specific flight, and it was just out of the realm of possibility because I was like 55 minutes, 4 little kids, international travel, having to go through customs, like I just did not think it was going to work. And then in our neighborhood group, somebody else actually posted on like the Facebook page saying, hey, has anybody taken this flight? It's such an alternative that is way cheaper compared to the direct from RDU to Charles de Gaulle using like Delta slash, I think it's like KLM Air France. And multiple people were like, yes, we have done it. It is worth it. Don't worry about the layover. It's a very small airport. So they said it was very manageable and was really not going to be as tight. And also that the plane will wait for you because it's a connection on the same airline. It's a very small airport. And so as long as it's due to like your flight coming in late and not like you getting stuck in the bathroom or something, they will hold the plane. So that made me feel better, and we decided to go ahead and book that flight ourselves. So I am a little bit nervous because, again, little kids trying to get off this plane in what will feel like the middle of the night to us. It makes me like worry, but we're going to just try it and hope that it will all work out. And so the flight leaves about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will arrive in Iceland about 6 hours later. I think it's like 6.5 hours. So around 2:30 a.m. our home time. But then we will swap planes in Iceland and have a 4-hour flight, it's like 3.5 hours or something like that, over to Charles de Gaulle, arriving in France about 1 p.m. their time, or what will be, I guess it'd be, let me think about this. So if it's 1 p.m. their time, like 8 a.m. home time or 7 a.m. home time, something like that. I can't remember if France is 5 or 6 hours ahead. But on Iceland Air, we each get a free checked bag and free carry-on bag with the type of ticket that we purchase. So this is obviously a big plus since we will need the checked bag status on this international adventure. If you have been a listener for a while, you know that we do typically do carry-on only trips. So this will be different. Our packing strategy is going to be totally different than what it usually is. We went to California last summer for 2 weeks and we packed only in carry-ons, 4 carry-ons. Each of us had a ticket. Each of us got that free carry-on Delta. So we did 4 carry-ons, 4 personal items, no checked bags. and we did it. And I was so impressed with us. And to be honest, when we went to Orlando in March, we did the same thing, only for like 4 nights. And I thought, how did we do this to California? Because literally we were very tight just for that tiny bit of time. So yeah, it made me a little nervous for this trip. I am right now, as I'm recording this, staring at the boxes of items that I have kind of separated into clothes for non-Disney stuff, or a whole box just for Disney stuff, and another box of like airplane, travel day kind of stuff. And I am going to be filming our pack and prep video, which actually, when this drops, that video, the pack and prep for France, will come out on Friday. So Friday, June 19th, if you're listening to this before then, that video will drop. That's my plan, at least, on the 19th. And so you'll kind of get to see in real time, did I fit everything? Did I have to eliminate things? Was I, I'm so good, I have extra space, kind of where am I at? So it will be quite the adventure just in packing alone. And checked bags are kind of necessary for this trip because there are things that we want to bring that you can't bring in a carry-on, like more liquids and different snacks and things like that, that we'd have to check. So hopefully that will work out okay. We also just have a lot of items that are specific for the wedding that are going to take up extra space. So right now our plan is those 2 carry-ons and 2 checked bags. And then I'm also going to bring our Disney Pink Parks bag. If you've watched the YouTube channel, you've seen it over there. And that I'm going to pack. My plan right now is to just have it flat in one of the bags and use it as our park bag. But I might end up filling that with stuff too. And of course, we'll have our 4 personal items is kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah, come along on this adventure with me and let's see if that works out. If you're not a YouTube person, don't worry. Of course, I will cover how this all went in our post-trip episodes once we're back from the trip. So moving on to once we arrive in Paris. So when we get there, we have booked transportation through EasyGo Shuttle, which was a recommended company by a podcast that we've listened to, kind of in order to learn more about Disneyland Paris from Disney Parks experts, and that is Destination to Disneyland Paris, or the D2DLP podcast. If you have never been to Disneyland Paris before, or it's been a very long time since you went last, I would highly recommend giving them a follow and a listen. They have one great episode in particular, which is number 214, and it's called Disneyland Paris for First Timers. And I found it to be especially insightful. I will link it in the show notes so that y'all can click on it directly from there. But we had considered the train to get from Charles de Gaulle into the city. But then when I read about the RER, which is the one that you would take like into the city and then again, like another like RER line over to Disneyland Paris directly, you kind of have to like keep track of all of your luggage. There's not like a luggage rack like you would see on like an Amtrak train. And then you are like in a regular seat. So if the train is really busy, you're trying to find space for all of your party, let alone like our stroller and all the bags. And then in the train stations, there's obviously, it's an old city, right? Like it's been around for a long time, way longer than the US. And so there's a lot of stations that don't have elevators and you have to go down multiple flights of stairs from what I have heard and read in many of the train stations. So since we will have a lot of stuff between us, my mom, my cousin, the kids, we just decided let's just hire private transfer. It's honestly not that ridiculously expensive to me. The EasyGo shuttle can accommodate up to 8 people in one shuttle with 6 luggage pieces and 5 handbags, like a backpack or a purse. So since there are exactly 8 of us, I thought, okay, well, we'll be able to fit. But then we're going to have more luggage than that because us alone, we have the 4 bags plus a stroller. So that obviously wouldn't work. So we're booking 2 separate cars. We already booked 2 separate cars. And they also do provide car seats and boosters free of charge, which is a huge perk. If you listened to our Disney World episode, we went with Black Lane and they included car seat and booster as well for the kids. And it was awesome. It's very convenient to not have to drag those things around the city. And we will have a booster for Eiley for our rental car, which I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, that is a big perk, not having to drag a car seat around the city. So that will be provided. And they are going to take us from the airport to the hotel. And then we did go ahead and book them again to take us from the hotel in Paris to the Disneyland Hotel for that portion of our trip. You don't have to pay up front. Payment is due 24 hours prior. And so that way, if we don't like it or it doesn't go well, we could conceivably cancel our secondary trip and take the train or an Uber or taxi instead. But I do think it'll work out well. I trust this company, this podcast. I trust this podcast, the D2DLP, and their recommendations. And so I was like, okay, we're going to just try this and see how it goes. I think the train would be fine if you are adults only traveling and you only have like a suitcase or two to manage with like a backpack or something. But because we have so many pieces of luggage for this longer adventure and lots of little kids, it's just not going to be conceivable or conducive to take the train. So just something to think about. Since we land at 1 o'clock, at Charles de Gaulle, I asked the car service to pick us up at 2:30, hoping that will give us enough time to kind of get off the plane, use the bathroom, go through customs, and pick up our luggage, which hopefully will make it with that tight layover. And that's going to be another piece of the packing strategy that I have to think about is if our bag doesn't make it, what is the most important stuff, and put that stuff in the carry-ons. We also, as I mentioned, will be bringing a stroller, and usually we bring our double bob, which is a beast. If you've ever seen a double bob stroller, they're huge, they're heavy, but they are really great for navigating the parks and for kids if they're a little older, needing a stroller break. But this time, because the city of Paris is not really built for strollers, we are going to bring our Mockingbird, but only as a single. We do have a double, but we're going to bring it as a single just to save space. And we did order a sitting board for it also. We also will be renting a car for the second half of our trip, so we really had to consider how all of the luggage would fit with the stroller into the rental cars. And if you've not been to Europe, the rental cars in Europe are generally smaller. So we are getting what is considered like similar size to like a RAV4 SUV, and so it will seat 5 and have a decent sized trunk, but we have to make sure all of our luggage will fit. So I did a little test run with a similar size car here in the States to what we're renting, just to make sure that all of it would fit, and it would. We will have a little bit of wiggle room, but I think that's nice to not have to be so stressed about like the space and everything fitting super tight, because when we went to California with all of our bags and our double bob, it like barely fit in the trunk of the car that we ended up getting. So just something to keep in mind. Think about that if you're going to be renting a car for any part of your trip in Europe. They're usually a lot smaller. So that's just something to think about when you're thinking about packing and how many bags, because we conceivably could take 4 carry-ons and 4 checked bags, but that's a little excessive. We don't really need to do that. So just consider all these things when you're packing. Again, you're going to see in the pack and prep video that comes out in a couple of days, kind of everything from, I started it at 12 days out. So I started filming a few days ago and just looking at how we're getting all the stuff in the car, how we're getting all the stuff in the car carrier to get to the airport with such a large party. Are we parking at the airport versus Uber? Discussing all those things. So that's a good video to go and watch if you're thinking about this and you're traveling with a larger party or you're traveling internationally for a long period of time, because we don't have anybody that can like do airport runs for us. It will be everybody going is going to be on the trip. So that's just something that we had to think about. We also have already posted our Amazon haul video, and I did a massive Amazon haul a couple of weeks ago and ordered all this stuff specifically for our Paris trip. I didn't keep all of it, but the video is great because it kind of goes through what I thought was necessary, what might not be necessary, cute outfits and clothes and things all from Amazon that we are bringing on this trip. So that I will also link in the show notes, and I will put in there also our Amazon storefront link, because every single thing from that video and anything from Amazon that we will put in the pack and prep video will be in a specific category like section on our Amazon storefront. And so yeah, that will be easy for you guys to say, oh, I like that, I want to buy it, add to cart. Obviously, I do get a little bit of a kickback from that. And thank you so much to all of you who have been purchasing through the link. It was really fun to log on there. I like made that live a few months ago, and I kind of didn't go back and check and see like, is anyone using this? Because I'm like, oh, I don't know if they are. And you guys are. So that's like super fun. So thank you for everybody who has been purchasing through the link. It doesn't cost you anything extra. but I do get a little bit of a kickback from that, so I appreciate it. But every single thing that we discuss from our trip and put on the video for Pack and Prep and the Amazon haul video will all be in a specific section on the Amazon storefront. So look out for that, and that will show you guys kind of what we're using and what we've bought that we will be taking on the trip. When we get to Paris, we are staying at the Hotel Maison Hamelin, Paris, which is actually near the Eiffel Tower. It's across the Seine River. And one thing to note, if you're traveling with a larger party in Paris, you really have to keep in mind a few things. The first thing is that the hotel rooms are typically extremely small. Many rooms do not even accommodate 4 people, let alone a large party. And this leads many people who are traveling in a larger party to price check staying in an Airbnb versus a traditional hotel. We looked into this option because of our large party, and doing an Airbnb was something that we thought would be better. However, when we land at 2:30, we didn't want to risk getting to the Airbnb, or when we land and then get to the city around 2:30, we didn't want to risk getting there and then not being able to get in. Like, a lot of the check-ins were like 4 o'clock, and then we wouldn't have a place to leave any of our belongings. We wouldn't be able to go do anything. And the only other time I went to Paris back in 2010, we did an apartment rental thing. It wasn't officially Airbnb, but was through another company, and we had a great experience. It was also somewhere near the Eiffel Tower, I believe, but on the same side as the Eiffel Tower, so the other side of the Seine from where we will be staying. The hotel we are at had a great deal where if you're booking 2 rooms, you got the second room at 50% off. They called it like a family deal. However, they did eliminate the ability to be able to book a balcony room with this offer, but that was okay because it helped keep the cost down for us. And the other thing to keep in mind with Airbnbs and other rentals like that is some places in Paris do not have air conditioning. So just beware, depending on time of year. We are going in the summer and the temperature's really been fluctuating. It looks like it's going to be in the 70s and 80s when we're there, but it was just like highs of 60s a week ago. So just something to keep in mind, that if it's 80 plus degrees, you're probably going to want AC. So that's just something to think about. Our plan for this first night is really just to kind of see how the kids are doing. If they are super struggling and need a nap, we might let everyone go nap and then stay up later than their usual bedtime. Or if they're like ready to explore and the adrenaline is going, we might go out and explore and go to bed earlier. It's just really going to depend on the kids and how they're feeling. There are a few restaurants within walking distance from our hotel that I've marked for lunches and dinners, since we will be totally thrown off as far as schedule. And this is probably my biggest concern with the kids, is the time change. They are all very well-versed travelers. They have gone all over the US, and my nieces have gone to Europe before when they were around my kids' age, but it's going to definitely be something that we have to work with. And this night, if they want to go do the Eiffel Tower, if they're feeling up to it, we might go do that in the carousel, or we might do a river cruise. It truly is going to be forced flexibility situation for me. And if you've been a listener for a minute, you know I am really not good at not having a schedule. That like throws me off. I'm type A planner down to that minute. So it is hard for me to be flexible, but with kids, it's really been a lesson for me in life to be flexible, and you'll enjoy your time more. The next day, we plan to get up and eat some breakfast. We're going to head over to see the Notre Dame and Luxembourg Gardens, take a river cruise if we didn't do that the night before, and ride back up to the Eiffel Tower, see the Arc de Triomphe. Those are kind of the major things that we want to hit. And I did not mention it, but Maddie has never been to Europe. He went to play basketball in China in 2008 and got to see Beijing. And then we went to Bora Bora for our honeymoon, and he has been to Mexico. But this will be a whole new experience for him. He's not really dead set on like having to see the Mona Lisa and the Louvre and Monet and all these things. He's kind of like, we're going to have 4 little kids with us. He's flexible. He's great at being flexible and low key and just kind of letting the kids and their moods dictate and guide the day. But those are kind of the big things that he wants to see are Luxembourg Gardens, Notre Dame, Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe. So we will do as much as we are able that day. And then the following morning, we do have the EasyGo shuttle set to pick us up at 8 a.m. That might be a lofty goal, but we really want to get over to Disneyland Paris and get ourselves checked in, drop our bags, and get into the parks. So we will all be staying at the Disneyland Hotel. Now, this was something I knew that I wanted to do when we booked the trip. I have to say, I booked this hotel as soon as the summer 2026 bookings opened back last fall, and the price was significantly cheaper than it is now. I have found that unlike Disney World, they don't often do promos and the prices rarely drop over time. This means that booking early for Disneyland Paris is key. My cousin and her kids didn't know that they were coming for sure to the wedding when we booked this. And yes, I booked this Disneyland Paris before we even had our flights. So her cost was almost equal to mine for only 3 people versus 5. That is another perk of the Disneyland Hotel. They sleep 5 in a room versus the Marvel Hotel or Newport Bay, for example. Most of those are traditional 4-people rooms. Those were kind of the 3 hotels that we are looking at: Disneyland Hotel, Marvel, and Newport Bay, because they are all the closest and walking distance to the park. I believe Sequoia Lodge is the other one that's also walking distance, but a little bit farther. And that's more like wilderness lodgy type feel. Just peruse your options and kind of see what works best. But initially when we booked, we knew it would be the 4 people in my immediate family and my mom. And so we were like, okay, well, we'd have to pay for 2 hotel rooms at Art of Marvel or Newport Bay. And so it was going to actually cost us more at the time to book 2 rooms than it would for the 1 room at Disneyland Hotel. So like, to me, it was a no-brainer. We're staying at Disneyland Hotel. But the other important thing to note is that when you're booking directly through Disney and looking at the rates, those rates also include your tickets. So you do not have the option to decrease the number of days or get rid of Park Hopper. This comes as a perk for staying on property and booking through them. So for our 2-night stay, it came automatically with a 3-day Hopper ticket, which is honestly kind of perfect. I probably would have only done 2 single-day park tickets if we were staying off property or somewhere else. But since it came with these perks, we're really going to take advantage of the perks. You also can cancel up to 7 days before your trip with a full refund. So truly you have no loss at booking early and then canceling or modifying if you need to, but lock in that cheaper price early. If you are considering going, and you can always adjust later, you do have to do a deposit. I believe it was 20%. We did this booking through our typical travel advisor who specializes in Disney, Katie. She is at 2+3 Travelers on Instagram. And I do have to say, she mentioned it's not the easiest process to book. The hours to call, which you have to call for a lot as a travel advisor that's trying to call for Disneyland Paris, it can be very limited and not the most straightforward instructions when you call on the phone. It can be kind of hard to get a hold of them. So at the time of recording this, our reservation for the hotel has shown up on the app, but our dining reservation that we booked, which I'll talk about here in a minute, we had to book it in advance. We had to pay a deposit on it. That is not showing in the app. So that has been stressful for my type A brain. But Katie has called and verified it is on their system. It just, for whatever reason, does not cross over onto the app, which makes no sense to me. I don't know, but she has reassured me it is on there, and I will let y'all know what happens when we get back and if that all works out or not. I did mention that we are bringing our Mockingbird stroller, and we did purchase a riding board that also has like a little bike seat and attaches to the back of the stroller off of Amazon. Supposedly this is allowed. We will see if we get stopped, but it was really meant so that Eiley can kind of be right with us and sit to rest if her legs get tired. She walks a lot in the parks, but she does utilize the stroller at the end of the night. So we just kind of wanted that backup option, but knew bringing the double bob through the city and in our car rental would just like not work for this trip. So we decided to just leave the bob home and only bring the Mockingbird. They do have stroller rental at Disneyland Paris, but they are not like, even the Disney World stroller rentals to me are not great. They're like a zoo stroller rental. They're really hard plastic. There's no basket for your stuff. And they're kind of expensive per day, in my opinion. I mean, in a pinch, they work, but they're not the easiest to drive. They're just not my favorite thing. So At Disney World, I'm going to say if you aren't going to bring a stroller or you don't have a great park stroller, rent through another company like Kingdom Strollers or something like that, where they can deliver it to your hotel, and then you'll get like a Bob or a mini city or whatever. But the Disneyland Paris stroller rentals look even worse than Disney World stroller rentals. Would it work in a pinch? Sure. But it's almost more, to me, it looks like a shopping cart wheelchair thing. It's like, does not look comfortable at all, does not look like a place where your kid could fall asleep. And so that's just something to consider. There are, again, other companies overseas where you can rent a stroller from somebody and stroller rental companies, but we did not want to have to mess with all that. We were just like, nope, it's expensive and we have great strollers. So we just decided we will bring our own. So we'll let y'all know how that goes. Now, day one of Disneyland Paris, we plan to kind of let the kids navigate this time. This day is a little up in the air because my cousin and her kids, as well as my mom, are really only going to be there this full day and then a half a day the next day. So we're truly going to let the kids guide the day, especially her kids, and then we will have our own time the next 2 days to do whatever we want. And we have talked about this a few times in the last weeks, but we're going to cross our fingers that Blake is tall enough for Big Thunder, because I think that will be a favorite for all of us, and maybe even my mom included. She is not a big coaster person, and even spinner rides can kind of get her nauseous, but she did go on Splash Mountain / Tiana's for Eileen's birthday and has done Mine Train, so we'll see how she's feeling. But the kids also love Remy's, and Maddie and Eileen missed that on the last trip. Crush's Coaster, I think, will be a big hit with the older girls. Of course, Pirates and Phantom Manor. But otherwise, we're really just going to kind of see how it goes. My cousin's been looking into the Princess Meet and Greet or Royal Gathering at the Disneyland Hotel, and also the virtual queues for characters and the castle walkthrough. Our only other must-do is Champagne on Main Street. So that night, I plan to get reserved seating for the fireworks for all of us. The fireworks that first night are pretty late. It's summertime, so the sun doesn't set till late. They are at 10:40 p.m. So we will see how the kids are hanging, but I'm really hoping to set out, folded blanket or stroller or whatever, and let them just kind of chill until the fireworks and sit and watch and rest until the time. We do plan to do that reserved seating, like I mentioned, so that I'm going to be doing here in the next couple of days. You can do it 1 week in advance. And my kids will likely fall asleep, especially Blake in the stroller, but they might not. They might be awake, especially the older girls. We do have absolutely no dining reservations this day or the next day either. So the world is kind of our oyster to explore however we want this first day. The next morning, we plan to get up and rope drop, and we're going to rope drop Disneyland Paris, the main park. They do have true extra magic hour here, so you actually get in at 8:30 and the rest of the guests get in at 9:30. Obviously, this might change based on time of year, but check the app for the summertime. This seems to be true. And the huge perk of being at Disneyland Hotel is, from what I'm understanding, you're already through security. So you literally just walk in at 8:30. We plan to get some good castle pics of the kids in their cute outfits this day, hopefully during extra magic hour, which my cousin informed me there's some castle construction going on. And so there's some not so photogenic fencing and walls happening. But from what I've seen from people on Instagram, there's still great angles from either side of the castle. So I think it will all be okay. I'm hoping for like a picturesque castle photo shoot this day. And we also plan to do Big Thunder. If we have not done it the day before, we'll probably go do Big Thunder first, then do our castle picks, and then kind of explore. If we haven't done Pirates or Phantom Manor, then we'll probably hop to Tomorrowland and let the kids do Buzz while Maddie and I do Space, or whoever else wants to go on Space Mountain can join. That one is an upside down coaster at Disneyland Paris, so I don't think any of the kids are going to want to do it, but obviously if they're tall enough and they want to, the older girls should all be tall enough, then we'll let them come with us, but we'll see how it goes. This is the morning, so our second morning at Disneyland Paris is when my brother Regan and his wife Steph will be joining us with their baby girl Everly at some point. They are arriving to France Friday afternoon and plan to spend the night over in France Friday night, Saturday night, and then plan to join us at Disneyland Paris on Sunday, which is this day, our second day at the parks. and they will kind of get from their hotel in the city. They're going to be staying at the Art of Marvel Resort, or whatever it's called. I think that's what it's called. Something, the Marvel Resort, whichever one it is. And Steph has never been to Europe either, like Maddie. Regan obviously has with me back in 2010. But they're going to kind of explore the city on Friday and Saturday, and then head over to Disneyland Paris Sunday and Monday. And we might see them on on Friday for a little bit in the city. It just kind of depends on how they're doing, how their flight is, but they'll be at the same hotel as us as well for that one night. Regan is a huge Marvel fan, so this is a big bucket list item for him to check off, staying at this hotel. And once they join us, will kind of be about the time that my mom and cousin will be heading out to go get their rental car and drive to where the wedding is. And kind of, they're going to get there a day early, so my mom can obviously get stuff set up and do all that before we come on Monday. But my brother, once he gets there, it's really going to kind of be like, let's do whatever they want. We'll kind of see where Blake is, if she needs a nap, or do we all need a nap, or how are we holding up? And then Regan and Steph will really only have this one night to be able to watch a nighttime show if they want to, but with a baby, that might not even be a thing. We plan to do Disney Adventure World for their new nighttime show on this second night. And we do plan to do reserved seating for this as well. That's just something that I've read is worth it. You don't have to line up crazy ahead of time. You can get there right before and kind of get to the spot about 30 minutes prior. It tells you in the app how early to get there, and you don't have to fight for a spot. It's just a better experience from what I've heard. So that's something we plan to spend money on. Again, no dining reservations this day either. Day 3, which is our final day at Disneyland Paris, we actually plan to rope drop Disney Adventure World, which is another early start, 8:30, same thing. However, we will have to get our bags down to Bell Services before we go to the park. So checkout time is before 11 a.m. I probably could run back into the room and bring the bags down later, but I don't want to have to do that. This day, we plan to hit up all that Disney Adventure World has to offer that we missed on the previous 2 days, or that my brother really wants to do so we can help them with the baby. But Maddie, the girls, and I have a reservation for the Regal View restaurant at 9:45, which is the brand new and beautiful restaurant with 4 princesses who come to meet you. And we are doing, obviously, breakfast. I am fully expecting not to love the food, to be honest, but this was an experience I didn't want to pass up because, number one, it's brand new, and number 2, it's a guaranteed way to get to meet 4 unique characters because they're actually in their quote-unquote everyday attire instead of their princess ball gowns. The options of who you could meet are Ariel, Aurora, Belle, Jasmine, Merida, and Mulan. Honestly, out of all of these, they're all great options. We would love to meet any of them, but our top picks would be Mulan, Aurora, Merida, and Ariel. I love Belle, but we have met her in her regular non-royal blue dress. And Jasmine is cool too, but honestly, those 4 would kind of be peak for us and our kids. But my kids love all these princesses, so we're not going to be mad about any of them. We'll be happy regardless of who we get. We are packing a smaller frame mat for signatures as well. And as far as making dining reservations, this is another piece about booking early for your package that is important, because as soon as you book, you can book dining. I think it's 12 months out. If you book farther out than that, which I don't know if they even open the window that far, you'd have to wait. But usually it's about 12 months or less out, you can book dining then also. That's not necessarily true for every restaurant, but from what I've heard, you book way earlier than that 60-day window like you do in the US. After breakfast, we will possibly try to spend some time in Arendelle and do the new Rapunzel ride if we didn't already before we head to get our rental car. And we decided to do our rental car from the company Sixt, S-I-X-T. And that is something that I read a lot about and debated. It looks like at the RER train station that's right there into Disney Village, there were 2 options from what I could tell for rental cars, and I'll report back on that. But it looks like Avis was an option and Sixt was an option. So we really just went on and price checked, and I would recommend price checking online. If you're a member of either, check through your membership, but also on the app, because our Sixt rental price was the cheapest through the app. It was cheaper than Avis on the computer and cheaper than Sixt itself on the computer. They had like an app deal, and supposedly when you book through the app, the plan is we literally will just have to check in on the app and walk to the car space, pick up the keys that are in the car, and drive out. If you've ever rented a car and done it this way, it is so convenient, worth the little bit of extra money to not go through like Priceline or whatever, to not have to wait in those horrendous check-in lines, to just get in the car and go. We are Avis members, so I was like, okay, that's what we're going to do because we can do that. But Sixt let you do it just signing up through the app as like a quote unquote member or whatever. You don't have to pay for it. We don't pay for our Avis membership either, but that's just something to look into, just price check. And you can add car seats. So we did have them add a car seat for Blake because she needs the traditional like harness, 5-point harness, whatever it's called, car seat. And Eiley, we brought a booster with us. Usually Eiley is in the full car seat still. She's a tiny girl, but she meets the height and weight requirement to not be. She could be in a booster. We just like haven't. I know some people are like, that's insane. She's 7. She's going on coasters. She's whatever. But anyways, it's just a thing for our family. We just keep them in regular car seats longer. But for this trip, we're like, all right, it's okay for her to try the booster. We aren't going to be driving in like high traffic areas. So we feel like it will be fine. And she meets the requirements. It's not like we're sneaking her in or trying to do anything that you're not supposed to do. It's just different than what we do at home. So we are bringing that booster seat with us through like the airport and all this stuff for this part of the journey. Hopefully this goes as smoothly as others have described. There is a group that I joined on Facebook that's like Disneyland Paris tips and tricks. So I do recommend joining that. Some of the posts are obviously unhelpful or redundant, and like a lot of the Facebook groups out there, people can be like jerks and be like, oh, well, duh, you should do this. But for the most part, I found it helpful, and people get back to you and say, oh yeah, do this, or oh no, that's not right. And you can kind of ask questions as needed. So it looked like from what I saw on there, people have used Sixt and Avis right at the car rental station, and it works as it says it does, where you just walk up and get in the car and go. Now, one thing I did not mention for the Disneyland portion is the Premier Pass and kind of how it works over there, their lightning lane system. So they do not have the same lightning lane system that we do in the States. Theirs is called Premier Pass, and you can buy a Premier Pass similar to our Premier Pass at Walt Disney World, where you get at Disney World, you pay for up to $400 a person per day for Magic Kingdom. And that means on top of your ticket, you get to go on every single lightning lane ride once, and you don't have to pick a time. It's not, 3 only, it's all of the rides, and just for that one park per day. In Paris, the way that it works is you can get Premier Pass, but it works for both parks. You get to do every ride that has that entry once per day at whatever time you want. From things I've read, maybe you can do it more than once a day, but I don't think so. I think that's just with Premier Pass 1. I think the Premier Pass is just once per ride per day, but you can do it across both parks. But it's expensive. It's not as expensive as Disney World's, and the tickets at Disneyland Paris are less. So price it out. If you're only going to one full day to the parks, I think it would be worth it. But because we're doing multiple days, I don't think we'll need it. You can also utilize what they call Premier Pass 1, which is closer to really Disneyland's Lightning Lane Single Pass, which is where you purchase the ride that you want to ride one time, and it's just for that one ride, and it's like a la carte. So it's like $15 for each person to ride once. And the reason I'm saying it's more like Disneyland's than Disney World's is you do not book it in advance. You book it when you get into the park. Let's say you walk up to Crush's Coaster and you're like, it's a 2-hour wait. I don't want to wait that. I'm going to purchase Premier Pass 1 just for Crush's Coaster, and it will say come back at 4 o'clock or whatever. From what I'm reading, you have then the 2-hour rule where you come back in the window from 3 to 4 o'clock, but then 2 hours after you book that first one, you can book another Premier Pass 1, or if you use that Premier Pass 1. So I think that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. But I can kind of break this down further in our post-trip episode once we've done it. And you can purchase, per what I've read, up to 3 passes per attraction per guest per day. So my understanding is if you want to do Crush's Coaster 3 times and there was available tickets by the time you book your next one, you could do that, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. The cost is usually like $10 to $20 per person versus the $100 to $200 per person per day. And the reason that we didn't want to do the regular Premier Pass for all the attractions across both parks is because the kids aren't tall enough to do a lot of the attractions, or they wouldn't want to do a lot of the attractions that are more thrill-seeking. And so then it's kind of like a waste, because the Premier Pass 1, from what I'm understanding, breaks it down where it's like the cost per ride if you did break down the total Premier Pass cost. So I don't know if I'm speaking gibberish and people are like, I can't follow what you're saying, but it sounds like it's more worth it to just do the a la carte, even though you have to pick return times and all this stuff, but you likely won't need it for all the attractions. And then I'm not paying for rides for kids that can't go on it, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think the Premier Pass was something that's necessary for us. We'll do single passes if we need to, but for the most part, we're going to just try to wait in line and do what we need to do to get on the rides. So once we head to the central southeastern France, we are staying in a city called Moulins. We will be spending 6 nights in a chateau in the countryside, and that's where the wedding is. I'll kind of share more about the chateau itself and our experience once we're back. But again, this is for my mom's wedding, and so we will be there with about 30 people total, I believe, for the week. One of my best friends from elementary school for a long time, who was a bridesmaid in my wedding, her name is Rachel. She is flying in to photograph the wedding. She's an incredible photographer. She has a big following, so check her out. I will tag her in the show notes as well. And we will be doing all kinds of things, from exploring the city. I'm planning a ladies' day out for my mom. Then, of course, obviously the wedding day, and then we will head back to the US on Sunday, June 21st. So our flight back is at 2:00 from Charles de Gaulle back to Iceland, and then Iceland to RDU. Iceland Air does offer these awesome stopover options to stay a night or two and explore Iceland itself, but sadly we just could not swing the extra time for this to do it and get time off of work for these extra couple days, but I really wanted to. We will have to leave the chateau kind of by 7 a.m. on that Sunday the 21st at the latest to make it in time to return our rental car, get through customs, security, all that jazz, which means I will be packing as much as I can the night before. So now, that was a lot. There's a lot going on in this trip, but I am very excited about it. We're going to scoot into some listener questions, and I think the biggest one we got was, where are you staying? So I have answered that above. We got that asked a couple of times. That is the Disneyland Hotel. So when I went into choosing a resort, I kind of noticed that there were a lot of options between off-property, a train stop down the road, versus on-property, walking distance, and on-property shuttle-only distance versus like nearby hotels. And one thing in particular that I noticed was that honestly, the package for our hotel, which is considered the most expensive on-property option at Disneyland Paris, is that it was honestly pretty reasonable in comparison to Disney World and their on-property deluxe hotels. For me, this hotel is a bucket list item and would be a comparison to staying at the Grand Floridian or the Poly, which run about $900 to $1,000 per night. Then you have to add on your tickets and all of that jazz. So for this resort package with 3-day hopper tickets included, literally inside of security, again, from my understanding, we paid basically $4,200 for 5 people, 2 nights. So when you pull it up, you're like, oh my God, that's so much money. It's like sticker shock, because that's $2,100 per night, but that includes tickets, taxes, everything for everyone. And if you've paid for 3-day hoppers for 5 people staying at Disneyland Paris, and if you did this outside of our hotel, I guess just for the 3-day hoppers for 5 people, tickets alone, it would have been like $1,400 for our date. At Disney World, the 3-day hopper tickets would cost you like $500 a person for, $2,500 for 5 people plus $1,000 a night at the hotel, at one of these nicer hotels. So honestly, it's like the same to me. Or is that just me doing girl math or Disney math? I was just like, yeah, this is like basically staying at Grand Floridian, but you're literally inside the park. So yeah, it's my birthday this week when we're going. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to go big. We're going to stay at the hotel. So this is what we're going to do. So don't let the sticker shock scare you. Think about it. Think about your party size. Think about what works best for you. We really were looking at the other options, like the, I always want to call it the Yacht and Beach Club because that's what it looks like. The Newport Bay Club. Okay, the Newport Bay Club is the one I'm trying to think of. That's where like my second choice was. Maddie loves the Marvel Hotel, but honestly, that's very expensive as well. So just think about it. But the Sequoia Lodge was another option because it's supposed to be inspired by like the national parks over in the US, and it has good amenities. It has a pool, things like that. But Newport Bay Club, I love the yacht club atmosphere. So that's something that I was looking at too. So just think about it. Think about what you want to spend your money on. Obviously, we could have stayed at a cheaper hotel and then spent money on the Premier Pass or on more sit down reservations. But this is the way we decided to go. To me, I'm like, let's do it big. We don't know if we're ever going to be back here. So this is a big deal. Another question that I got was from Maggie, friend of the podcast. She asked which snacks we are looking forward to most at Disneyland Paris. So the things that I have written down right now, there is a cute little Mickey pizza, which probably isn't like the most tasty thing, but they have it at the Colonel Hathie's or Bella Notte. But apparently Bella Notte also has spaghetti, which my kids would be totally down with. So either one of these places, I think the Colonel Hathie's is less busy from what I've read, but that Mickey pizza looks so adorable. And Champagne on Main Street is probably number one. That's like the number one thing I want to do. You get the little glass that you can take home. Hopefully it will make it home without being broken. Another thing that I have written down are Darth Vader waffles. They have just plain with powdered sugar or Nutella on top. I think the kids would definitely love that. There is a Magnum, like the Magnum ice cream bars, Creations Station at Disney Adventure World where you can add different things to the Magnum bar. That looks delicious and I love those, especially with some caramel. That sounds so good. So we probably will check that out. There is a Laugh and Go truck that has really good cupcakes. And then in Alice in Wonderland area, there is a March Hare Refreshments. They have an ice cream called like the Curious Labyrinth, which is vanilla ice cream and different little flavorings on top. So there's one that's like the Mad Hatter that has like popcorn and caramel, which I don't know how I feel about the like popcorn on it, but that sounds super unique. And then there's another one that has like brownie pieces and like pralines or something maybe, or maybe it's nuts. I can't remember, but they look so cute. So, and we're big Alice fans. That would be so fun to get to go over there. Sadly, there are a few things that are going to be closed when we're on our trip. So we have to do Pirates our first or second day because I believe our third day it will be closed. And then the Alice Maze is going to be closed the whole time. I think the Pirates Lair, like play area, which is a bummer, is going to be closed the whole time. And the Cars like road race rally or something like that, which I think is like the old backlot tour. I'm not 100% sure, but that will be closed as well at Disney Adventure World. So we just have to kind of keep an eye out. I also don't think I mentioned Tower of Terror, but I've heard that is the best one and I love that. That's my favorite ride. If you know, you know, because I talk about it all the time. And so that one will be high on the list to go on as well. That just randomly popped in my head. But yeah, that is going to be high up there. So I think that is everything. Yeah, thank you guys so much to everybody who wrote in questions. I kind of compiled all the hotel questions and like staying on property versus off property into one. And then once I get back, I will do a post-trip, obviously, review of everything. I'm going to be vlogging our entire trip. So I'll be breaking down each day so that y'all can see it and kind of what the hotel is like. Is it worth the huge price tag or not? Would I stay there again? All of that kind of stuff. So appreciate everybody's love and support and excitement for the trip. I know a lot of question box things I got were like, can I come with you? Like my friend Kelly, and just like a lot of excitement from people that have been. So thank you if you have been and have reached out and we've been chatting about it. I know Katrina is one. Virginia is going soon from Where I Long to Be podcast. So she and I have been talking a lot, and I'm going to be on her podcast talking about this trip. And then my friend Steven over at Idiot's Guide, he's been talking about kind of different things that he wished he would have done. So it's been really fun. And Jana from Backlot Tours, she has talked about her trip to Disneyland Paris and kind of her highlights as well. So I appreciate everybody's advice and tips and tricks, and very excited to share all of this with you. Can't wait for you guys to see all of the content that I hope to get, and hopefully we will be healthy and safe with our travels. But yeah, so start dreaming up your trip to Disneyland Paris along with me. I am so excited to get to see the new Disney Adventure World changes with Arendelle and a lot of things that people haven't gotten to see yet. I just think little Olaf will be so adorable too, and our kids are just going to have the most amazing experience. It is totally wild that they're going. Something funny that when Steven and I were talking a few days ago, he was like, I mean, literally, these kids are going to Europe, so they'll have, what kids get to go to Disneyland Paris when they're 3 and 4 years old. And I'm like, yeah, so true. I mean, we were just chilling in Epcot, but these kids are going international at a very young age. And this was not a part of our plan. We were not planning on going to an international Disney park for a few years, and we always thought Tokyo would be our first park, but this is just an opportunity that we're like, well, we're going to be over there. We cannot pass this up. So yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm very excited to get to do it not only with my cousin and her girls, but that my brother is going, because obviously we are obsessed with the parks. And his immediate question was, let's do an Every Ride Challenge run. Want to do it? And I was like, no, we are not going to do that while we're over there. But more to come about future trips here too, because we've got a lot of fun and exciting things still to go for the rest of this year. We've done so many good trips already. We've just been really blessed with great opportunities to get to travel to some parks, and this year going to California, Disney World, and Paris in 1 year is just insane to me. Never thought this would happen. But thank you so much for listening to me yap for the last hour. I really appreciate it. And if you think of any other questions or things you really want to know more about when we get back, please DM me, comment, all these things. I'll be putting up question boxes a couple more times before our post-trip episodes, and you guys can hear all about how it went. I am going to try to have different family members come on to talk about stuff in the post-trip as well. So stay tuned for those episodes. And again, follow me over on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing and check out all the vlogs, packing and prepping, travel day, daily vlogs from our trip that we will be doing, because there will be lots of fun content over there too. But that is all for now. I hope that you have a great week, and we will see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at SoarinAroundWDW Pod, where we share fun reels, throwback photos, and dive into weekly polls and debates. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow and hit that 5-star button. If you are over on YouTube, subscribe and leave us a comment as well. If you're listening on Apple, a 5-star rating and a written review would mean the world. You can also now support the show through our Patreon at patreon.com/SoarinAroundWDW podcast by becoming a free or paid member and finding exclusive content and bonus episodes and videos there too. Thanks again for joining us. Catch you on the next flight.